Hey guys, the Brosters here.
This is Mario,
I played
an
every
ordinary
Mario
plumber who
game
first
ever
appeared
made
in Donkey
until the
Kong
end of the 40s, which
1981.
is around-
Since then, he has become the most famous gaming character of all time, starring in over 150 video games from the 1980s all the way up to the 2020s. And today, we're gonna play every single one of them. So let's find out how much the
Mario. This is
Jumpman
gonna
has
be
evolved over the past
interesting.
42 years. Starting in 1983 with the first ever official Mario game, Mario Bros. On the arcade. Welcome to the game that started it all.
I've
Mario
never heard
Bros.
of
is
this.
honestly the underdog game of Mario's history. Most people assume his first game was Super Mario Bros., but no, it was actually this. And well, this is fine. The
I
entire
didn't
game
see
is just bumping platforms from below to flip enemies over before kicking them away. It's simple, but we can't ignore the fact that this game introduced some key elements of the Mario universe. Warp pipes, power blocks, and shell creepers who are conceptually the ancestors of Koopas, and of course, Luigi, aka Mario's brother.
Luigi.
Well, if you didn't know that, then I don't even know why you're here.
Here we
This
go,
is
yeah.
also the game that officially made Mario a plumber. Before this, he was a carpenter in Donkey Kong, which actually makes complete sense since that game was set on a construction site. Now, I myself had a fun time playing this game. It's quite frankly a little addictive, you know. So if you got to play this one in the arcade, let me know how much Nintendo rinsed your wallets back in the 80s. Mario Bros. Is a historic game that laid the groundwork for Mario's future. But compared to what came later, it's more of a fun curiosity rather than a must-play classic. Mario's Cement Factory. Okay, to give it the benefit of the doubt, a lot of these earlier Mario games are super simple, especially on handheld devices like the Game Watch. And Mario Cement Factory is no exception. It's a pure multitasking challenge. This dude just gotta juggle cement flow in a factory and that's it. But hey, at least Mario is just dealing with cement. It's not like they handed him, I don't know, like a bunch of explosives. Mario's bombs away takes a different approach from the usual factory jobs and plumbing gigs. This time, Mario is in a jungle running supplies for the military, specifically bombs. He must deliver explosives from one side of the screen to the other, whilst avoiding enemy soldiers and accidental detonations. It's an interesting piece of Nintendo history to say the least, just like our next two games on this list, Mario Bros. Special and Punchable Mario Bros. So unlike the original Mario Bros. Where the screen is fixed, Mario Bros. Special features scrolling levels and you're also navigating through new obstacles and hazards. Listen, the core mechanics remain the same. This is a strange take on the original game, but it gets even weirder with Punchable Mario Bros. Because now they've given Mario some new tricks with balls. These two PC games are just weird remixes for the original, and honestly, after these two didn't really perform that well, Nintendo knew they had to do something different. Miyamoto wanted to create a hero that could run around in a bigger setting with beautiful graphics. He wondered if this would even appeal to the current market, but he went ahead and made it anyways. He went ahead and created Super Mario Bros.
And the game that started.
Welcome to the start of a whole new generation from Mario. This was the game that transformed him from an arcade icon into the face of console gaming. Gone were the static levels of Donkey Kong and Mario Bros. Now, players could explore a side-scrolling adventure across the Mushroom Kingdom to save Princess Peach, aka, yeah, the princess who needs saving in literally every Mario game ever. Now, this is a game with precise platforming, iconic level design, and some of the most instantly recognizable music in gaming history. Super Mario
well,
Bros.
I wouldn't say
introduced a
she's the
gameplay
princess
formula
that
that
needs to be
remained
saved
beloved
in
decades
every
later.
game.
You could run,
In the
jump,
Super
and
Mario
stomp your way through
movies,
8
she
imaginative worlds
basically
filled with
saved
Goombas,
herself.
Koopas, fireballs, and the tricky gaps to leap across. The controls were tight, responsive, and rewarding to master. And as the game progressed, the challenges only grew tougher, making it endlessly replayable. Now, I'd honestly say exploration is just as important as skill. Finding hidden secrets like warp zones allowed you to skip entire worlds, while invisible blocks revealed one-ups when you least expected it. This sense of mystery and discovery was part of what made the game feel so alive. But with all of that innovation came one of gaming's earliest and most famous glitches: the Minus World. This world wasn't an official level. It was a bug triggered by a very specific set of actions where players could phase through a wall near the warp zones. And if done correctly, instead of taking you to the usual warp destination, it would drop you into a strange underwater version of World-3, labeled simply as World -1. This glitch level looped endlessly, basically trapping Mario in an unwindable limbo. It became one of the earliest examples of players discovering a hidden glitch through experimentation, and it sparked a fascination with uncovering the hidden depths of video games. Now overall, Super Mario Bros. Wasn't just a hit, it was a revolution. Over the years, this character redefines what video games could be, and his first time doing it basically laid the foundation for modern platformers and became the blueprint for hundreds of titles to follow. It was the beginning of something great, and Mario was no longer just a plumber, he was a legend in the making. And only just 1 year later, they released a PC version. This is Super Mario Bros. Special, a 1986 PC only port developed by Hudson Soft. And right away, something feels off. The first thing you'll notice, no screen scrolling. Instead, the game loads each new section like a PowerPoint slideshow, meaning enemies can blindside you off the screen, which by the way, this happens a lot. To sum it up, Super Mario Bros. Special is a bizarre relic from an era when PCs couldn't properly handle side-scrollers. But let's move on to one of the most interesting Mario games, Super Mario Bros. 2. Now this game was released exclusively in Japan, and unlike the Super Mario Bros. 2 we got in the West, which was actually a reskin to another game called Doki Doki Panic, this game is a straight up sequel to the original Super Mario Bros. Except it hates you, like it straight up makes you miserable. Enemies are placed in the worst spots ever. Hidden blocks sabotage your jumps, and the game even has the audacity to add a wind to mess you up. It's unfair, frustrating, and sometimes just mean, man. Well, if you want the ultimate Mario challenge, this is it. You've got your game. But you know what? It's not as bad as Super Mario Bros. On the Game Watch. This is what happens when you try to cram a legendary game into a tiny, teeny-weeny LCD screen. The gameplay is slow. Jumps are not really jumps, he just kind of moves up and down. But yes, for an 80s handheld, it's surprisingly well designed. Super Mario Bros. For the Famicom. I know what you're thinking. Why are there so many versions of this game? Luckily, this is almost a perfect port from the NES version. The Famicom had better audio, and that's pretty much it, it just sounded better. Whereas the arcade version of Super Mario Bros. At first glance may look identical to the NES version. You know, same graphics, same controls, same levels, right? Well, not exactly. You see, this arcade version was specifically designed to be harder, forcing players to spend more quarters by adding trickier jumps, fewer power-ups, removing a continued button, and here's the most baffling one, swapping out levels from their Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels versions, which were notoriously harder. This game is basically Super Mario Bros. On Nightmare mode, and they probably made bank from it, which I cannot say about the next game, All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros. This is a strange, exclusive remix of Super Mario Bros. Made to promote the popular late night show radio All Night Nippon. Nintendo swapped out characters and levels to match the show's theme, making this one of the weirdest Mario games ever made. But honestly, I think this next one tops it. I Am a Teacher, Super Mario Sweater. Okay, this is the most bizarre piece of Mario software I have ever seen.
What?
If you've ever wanted a custom knitted sleeveless v-neck sweater, well, you ain't gonna get it in real life anymore. But if you sent your design off when it first came out, they would actually knit your sweater and mail it to you. It was basically Nintendo's first version of a custom merch shop. As a game itself, there's not much to do.
Okay,
it's
the
more of a
concept
novelty
is
software
pretty
than
good on
anything.
paper,
And unless you
but
really
you
love
get a
sweater
game
design,
just to
there is no reason at all to mess
have
with
a
it today.
sweater
Super
knit for
Mario
you.
Bros. 2. Again?
Builders. It's not our job title. It's a mindset. Base 44. We're done. Done waiting. Done accepting something can't be done. We're here to build. Run. Solve. To see what's missing. And make it. To hit a wall. And find a way through.
Right away, this feels nothing like the original Super Mario Bros. Instead of running and jumping through levels, you're picking up enemies, tossing vegetables, and exploring a whole new world. For Nintendo to take a game like Doki Doki Panic and rework it into Super Mario Bros. 2 for the Western market, it's honestly a genius move. You get to play as 4 characters in this game. Each character plays differently from the others. Mario is a balance between everyone. Luigi jumps the highest, Peach can float, and my absolute goat, Toad, aka the greatest character of all
yeah,
time.
Toad.
It's fast as hell, but he cannot jump for shit. This was the first time the Mario series experimented with unique character abilities, and it clearly worked because it stuck around in the future games. Now, instead of Bowser,
definitely
you're
did.
fighting new enemies like Birdo and Wart, who, let's be real now, never stood a chance of becoming Mario's main villain. But a lot of the iconic enemies are here like
They
Shy
did a
Guys
thing
and
with Super
Bob-ombs,
Mario
who
Galaxy
ended up becoming
movie.
Mario staples throughout the entire series. But in the end, once you complete the game, you find out that it was all just a dream. Oh god, it's like a really cliche book ending. Yeah, everything in Super Mario Bros. 2 was technically fake, but it didn't matter. This game in my eyes was fun. The level design, mechanics, and music make it one of the most unique Mario games ever made. Although I did not like the fact that you gotta jump onto enemies, pick them up, and throw them away to defeat them. That felt so long and tedious from time to time. Super Mario Bros. 2 might have been a refurbished game, but I think it still absolutely earns its place in the Mario series. It's different, like really different, but in a good way. And only just a few months later, Nintendo ended up releasing the third entry. This is the big one. The one that took everything Mario had done before and cranked it up to perfection. This is Super Mario Bros. 3. From the moment you start, you know this isn't just another Mario game. Miyamoto looked at Super Mario Bros. 1 and asked himself, what can we do to make this next game 100 times better? And the result was bigger levels, new power-ups, world maps, and more secrets. This game was just massive compared to anything before it. I mean, to start, there are several new costumes Mario can wear to grant him new abilities. Not only can Mario glide, but he can now fly. Frog Mario is kind of trash on land, but in the water he thrives. The hammer costume lets you throw hammers, that's self-explanatory. And the Tanuki suit lets you turn into a statue. I don't understand how that's relevant to the suit, but I guess it's cool. These suits changed everything, making levels more open and packed with hidden areas. This wasn't just running from left to right anymore. This was exploration. And instead of just playing level after level, now you've got an overworld map where you can choose your path, find secret toad houses, and even get into fights with Hammer Bros. It made the world feel more alive than ever before, and the variety is genuinely insane. This game is filled with imagination. Every world feels completely different with new enemies, mechanics, and challenges that keep the game fresh from start to finish. Super Mario Bros. 3 was huge. It wasn't just a game at the time. It was like, oh, this sounds kind of corny, but it was like an event. And honestly, it's still one of the best 2D platforms ever made. Super Mario Land. Alright, this one's also special. Super Mario Land isn't just Mario's first handheld adventure. It's proof that the magic of Super Mario Bros. Could fit into your pocket, and somehow, even with all of its weirdness, it still works. This was actually one of the very first Game Boy games. The movement is fast, the platforming is tight, and the levels feel like classic Mario, but just a little different. And yeah, it is different. Instead of the Mushroom Kingdom, we're in Sarsa Land. I've definitely butchered that, my fault. Instead of Bowser, we've got a space alien named Tatanga, and instead of Peach, we're saving Princess Daisy. But yeah, this game is almost like an alternate reality to Super Mario Bros. But it's still very canon to the lore and stuff. The game only has 12 levels, making it a really short game that you can beat in like under an hour. But every stage feels unique, the difficulty ramps up nicely, and the soundtrack for a Game Boy game is pure fire. And with that being said, you lot, the 80s made Mario. This was the decade that took him from a simple arcade character to the face of gaming, with some of the most iconic titles in history. Sure, some of them felt a little bit pointless, but every single one of them helped shape what was coming next. And what was next? Well, the 90s weren't just more Mario, they were a revolution. New hardware, new ideas, and one of the greatest Mario games of all time. Welcome to the 90s, and welcome to Super Mario World. This is it, the game that kicked off Mario's 16-bit era and proved that the Super Nintendo wasn't just an upgrade, it was a game changer. First off, the look of the game was gorgeous for the 90s. Bright, detailed sprites, smooth animations, and backgrounds that actually had depth. But it wasn't just pretty, it felt incredible to play as well. The controls were tighter than ever, making Mario's movements smoother and more precise. And then, the MVP, Yoshi, aka Mario's dinosaur companion. This little guy changed everything. He wasn't just a power-up. He was a full-on game mechanic that made the world feel more alive than ever. Although I was a tad disappointed by how many power-ups they removed in this game, because here we only have the Fire Flower and Cape Feather, which does seem a little lackluster, but I guess Nintendo thought Yoshi was a big enough change to fill the boots for the rest that were left behind. When I played this game for the first time, I had super high hopes for it, and the thing that stood out to me the most was the level design. Every world introduces new ideas. We got ghost houses with tricky puzzles, switch palaces that change earlier levels, and some of the best platforming challenges in any Mario game ever. And if you thought the main game was too easy, welcome to the special zone. These are filled with some of the hardest levels in the game, which are so rewarding to complete. Same goes for all the secrets in this game. My god, the overworld is awesome. Being able to find the secret levels in the map is just so cool. From start to finish, Super Mario World is near perfect in my eyes. The platforming, the secrets, the music, oh the music, it's all so well made. Even today, it still holds up as one of the greatest Mario games ever made, which I once again cannot say about the next game. Dr. Mario, you guys need to see this commercial.
I called the witch doctor, he told me what to do. He said
What, where, and how, and why is the correlation. Listen, I low-key fuck with it, okay? But when you're making a commercial, you gotta have at least some resemblance to the game. This is simply a tile-matching puzzle game similar to the vein of Tetris. And you know, Mario's on some sort of side quest trying to become a doctor by putting pills into a jar to kill off the viruses inside. Yeah, that's the whole game. Both the NES and Game Boy versions follow the same concept, and I don't know about you lot, but finishing this game is actually really hard. However, once you do complete it, you're left with this cool little cutscene of the game ending. Mario the Juggler. This game's only real claim to fame is being the last Game Watch game ever released. Other than that, it's extremely simple. Mario just stands at the bottom of the screen juggling up to 3 objects, and that is it. I gotta say, by 1991, this thing was already outdated as hell. Super Mario Bros. And Friends, when I grow up. So the best way to explain this game is that, well, it's not really a game, it's more of an interactive Mario-themed career guide for kids. You basically just flip through pictures of different jobs. You'll see doctors, firefighters, teachers, and well, whilst you do it, Mario and Friends will cheer you on whilst you read a couple of fun facts. Clearly I didn't get to play this one as a kid because, well, I'm a bloody YouTuber now, not a damn police officer. Mario teaches typing. What in the world? Yeah, this is one I wish I played in like IT class in primary school. But other than that, I would never ever touch this game ever again. Mario is missing. Luigi gets his chance to enjoy the spotlight and save his brother, but it happens to be an educational geography game where you gotta collect stolen artifacts from Bowser's minions. It's just so peculiar. I mean, they also used the Super Mario World sprites for this game, and they look so out of pocket compared to the scenery. If you enjoyed this one, then you're probably part of a really niche group, and I honestly respect it. But hey, after that little rough patch we just had, Nintendo went on to create a game that would become a staple series in the Mario franchise. Welcome to Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo. This technically wasn't the first Mario racing game. Japan had the Famicom Grand Prix games, but those were more Mario on the cover than an actual Mario racer. What really changed everything was F-Zero, Nintendo's flashy SNES launch racer. It used Mode 7 graphics to make the tracks look like they were actually moving in 3D. But while F-Zero was fast and slick, it had one big problem: no multiplayer. So Nintendo thought, let's make something more chill, more accessible. They slowed things down, added go-karts, and threw in a placeholder character wearing overalls. And then I guess somebody thought, let's just make it a Mario game. And Super Mario Kart was born. Yeah, sorry to lore dump a little bit, however I did think it was some cool information to add. This game is good, however there is one design choice that always just confuses me. Donkey Kong Jr. Every playable character here makes sense, except from him. I don't get it, why didn't they just add normal Donkey Kong? But screw it, I'll rock with it, man. It's the only Mario Kart he's ever appeared in. Now this game is fun. It's Mario Kart, how can it not be fun? I just think there are much better options. That being said, the tracks are quite basic due to the hardware. The AI rubber banding is really tight, and the controls feel janky as hell at first until you pour some hours into it to adjust. Super Mario Kart is a great game if you're willing to give it a chance. Mario Paint. What you are currently watching is a time-lapse of me pouring my heart out to try and draw Toad. In the end, he turned out like this. And I also write subscribe because if we hit 100k, then I'll make this my profile picture. I think that's a pretty fair bribe. This game is so hard to draw, let alone animate, but they also have a music section where you can make your own little tunes. Prepare to be blessed with my creation. I'm so sorry. Super Mario Land 2. This game is a huge step up from the original. The first game felt a little off. Mario looked weird, moved weird, and it kind of barely felt like a Mario game at times. However, the sequel fixes everything. Mario controls like himself again, the graphics are way better, and the platforming feels smooth and tight. We also get introduced to another famous character, Wario, aka a selfish, greedy treasure hunter, who would go on to be a major character in later games. But for now, he's the main antagonist and final boss for this game. Gameplay wise, it's classic 2D Mario with some cool twists. You still get fun power-ups, but now there's the bunny ears from the carrot item, letting Mario float through levels. Super Mario Land 2 took all the weird ideas from the first game, made them work, and turned what could have been another throwaway sequel into a legit Game Boy classic. Mario's early years. This was Nintendo's proper attempt at an educational Mario game, because it split into 3 different titles: Fun with Letters, Fun with Numbers, and Preschool Fun. Anyways, the idea was to teach kids the basics whilst Mario, Luigi and Yoshi
Okay,
tagged
here's
along.
that
In
concept.
reality
Here's
though,
something.
they are super slow, clunky,
point.
and honestly not that fun. Even for the target audience, I probably would have fallen asleep trying to get through this in IT class. Mario plus Wario. In this one, Wario drops a bucket on Mario's head and suddenly he's wandering around blindly. You don't actually control Mario at all. Instead, you'll guide him by clicking around as this little fairy named Wanda. It's kind of like a puzzle maze with a quirky gimmick. Honestly, I don't know why Mario just doesn't take off the helmet, but this game never ever left Japan, so most people never even touched it. Just one of those weird Mario spin-offs that's way more fun to talk about than to actually play. Super Mario All-Stars. This game brings together the 4 classics but with a twist. They've all been upgraded with 16-bit graphics that look amazing, and I think that is awesome. Playing the originals in order used to feel a bit jarring. Each game had a totally different art style thanks to the hardware at the time, and that clash kind of made the experience feel disjointed, but All-Stars smooths it all out, creating a much more cohesive and delightful way to enjoy all 4 classics. They also released another version of this game that includes Super Mario World, which is also a great addition. Super Mario Land 3. So this is the game that concludes the Mario Land series. However, you don't play as Mario. In fact, he's not even in the game because this is Wario Land. I don't even know if I should add this to the video. This is a Wario game, so I kind of feel like a fraud right now actually. But nevertheless,
That's
I did
not a
play
Mario
it,
game,
and
that's a
all I gotta say
Wario
about it
game.
is that it's just more of the other games. Mario's Time Machine. God,
Okay,
I
what
bet
is
Mario
this?
wished he could hop in a time machine right now and
Mario
go back to
in the
destroy whatever
TARDIS.
this shit is from being released. Mario's
Okay,
Time
okay.
Machine was one of the many
I mean,
official
in all
licensed Mario
seriousness,
titles
a
to
Mario
neither be
and-
developed or
and
published by
Doctor Who
Nintendo in the
crossover game would
mid-90s.
actually
Like
be
Mario
pretty
is
cool
Missing,
in
it's
my-
not actually a sequel to Mario is Missing, it's just very similar. Mario's Time Machine is an educational title that teaches younger kids about historical events. Yep, same old, you
It
know,
sounds
read dialogue,
nice.
do boring stuff. But yeah, this game, it is what it is. If you enjoyed it, again, you're like super niche. But there's no shame in that whatsoever. If you enjoyed it, you enjoyed it. Fair play. I just didn't. Mario Family. Yeah, okay. This is another thing that happened. You plug a special cartridge into a GBA and connect it to a sewing machine, and then you sew Mario themed designs
sewing
onto
machine.
fabric. It's like I Am a Teacher, but you do it yourself this time. It feels like this is the most disconnected and bizarre game on this entire list, in fact. Hotel
bizarre.
Mario.
Bizarre.
Alright. Hotel Mario is one of those games that's kind of infamous at this point, and for good reason. It's technically a Mario game, but it barely feels like one. Released on the Philips CDI, which is already a weird footnote in gaming history. This game puts you in charge of closing doors. Yeah, you heard that right. The main mechanic is literally walking around and closing hotel doors to beat each level. The gameplay is super repetitive, the controls are dog water, and the pace just doesn't feel right. But what really makes Hotel Mario stand out are those bizarre animated cutscenes. They're so awkward.
Vistaprint is where your big ideas become bold clothing, so you can wear and share your brand with custom t-shirts.
Low budget, and honestly, it's kind of hilarious. It's like something you'd see in a fever dream with the voice acting as well.
Nice of the princess to invite us over for a picnic, eh, Luigi?
This turned into like a meme goldmine over the years, which is probably the only reason why people even remember this game. Mario's
Yes,
Game
the
Gallery. This one bundles together 5 classic table games: Checkers, Go Fish, Dominoes, Backgammon, and Yacht. The games themselves are decent, nothing groundbreaking, but they're playable and kind of fun if you have absolutely nothing else to do. The twist here is that you're playing against Mario, and yep, he talks a lot.
How about this move? It's your turn.
This is actually the second time Charles voiced Mario, and while it's cool from a history standpoint, there is something a little unsettling about it, and it gives the whole game a kind of offbeat, uncanny vibe. So yeah, it's interesting as a little weird corner of Mario's history. I love finding games that only 5 of you here probably played, and I know for a fact that the same goes for this next one. Mario's Super Picross. Okay, so if you've never played Picross before, you're given number clues and have to chisel out a block to reveal hidden images. It's personally not for me whatsoever, but if you like this game, then just let me know in the comments if you even exist out there. Mario's Tennis. A blood moon has appeared out of nowhere because our next 2 games are only in red and black. Yeah, the Virtual Boy was a really weird piece of hardware. But hey, Mario Tennis is on it, and it's kind of fun. Mario Clash! Sorry, this game's just tennis, I don't know what else to say about it. Mario Clash is an innovation of the original Super Mario Bros. That consists of 99 single screen levels where Mario defeats enemies by strategically tossing Koopa shells across different planes. It was good for a solid 10 minutes, and the 3D effect was something new and different at the time. But now for this next one, I just want you to picture this for a second. Super Mario World crushed it, right? Dare I say, one of the best games ever made. It sold millions, and it's basically the gold standard for 2D platformers. So what do you do for a sequel? You make more of the same game, right? You know, more levels, new power-ups, slap a 2 on it, and pretty much print money. But Nintendo said, nah, let's just get really weird with it. Instead of doubling down on Mario, they hand it over to Yoshi and deliver Yoshi's Island. A game that looks and plays completely different, but still feels like it belongs in the Mario universe. This time you're not even controlling Mario. You are Yoshi, or actually a relay team of Yoshis who carry baby Mario through level after level of hand-drawn crayon-colored madness. You nom on enemies, turn them into eggs, and use those eggs to solve puzzles, hit switches, and take down Shy Guys. Every now and then you just casually morph into like a helicopter or a mole machine. This dude basically has Kirby powers right now, and it's chaotic in the best way possible. I cannot get over this art style as well. It is one of the best on the SNES. It has this sketchy, pastel, living coloring book vibe that makes it stand out from everything else. It's so bold, but it totally works. Now this game does have like a couple of flaws. Some levels feel way too big for their own good, and the game sometimes relies a little too much on exploration over flow. But even when it's mean-daring, it's never boring. There's always something new around the corner. Some clever mechanic, a weird transformation, or a level gimmick that makes you go, wait, like what? Bottom line is, this isn't just a sequel, it's a reimagining. It's so different, but somehow still fits perfectly in the Mario family. If you skipped it back in the day because of its visuals or the fact that this wasn't real Mario, trust me, you missed out. Yoshi's Island is one of the most creative, polished, and memorable platformers ever made. And yeah, I do realize I'm kind of glazing this game a bit. I just think it's so goddamn fun to play as Yoshi. But now that we're coming to the end of the SNES, Nintendo gave Mario a send-off before he entered his 3D era.
What?
Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Alright, let's quickly set the scene real quick. It's 1996, Nintendo's still like riding off the SNES, and out of nowhere they team up with Square, yeah, the Final Fantasy guys, to make Mario RPG. Mario's known for jumping on Goombas, not menu-based battles, but somehow Super Mario RPG ends up being one of the most memorable games on the system. Right off the bat, this game obviously feels different. You've got this 3D isometric look, colourful visuals, and a story that's way more ambitious than anything Mario had tackled before. Bowser's not even the main villain here, he ends up joining your team. That alone is worth the price of admission. Gameplay wise, it's turn-based combat, but with a twist. You're not just picking attacks from a menu waiting around. Press a button at the right moment and deal extra damage, or block incoming attacks. It keeps battles engaging and gives it that action platformer flavour that still feels very Mario. But the one thing that caught me off guard was the writing. This game is actually funny, like genuinely funny. The characters are full of personality. There's Gino, the living doll with a laser arm, and Mallow, the marshmallow frog with a golden heart. The world's packed with charm and weird little side stories. The music is just so good. Every track is just a banger. Now there are a few clunky parts. The isometric movement can be a little awkward when platforming, and yeah, random battles can drag a bit if you're just trying to get through the area. But honestly, they're just minor complaints. Mario RPG isn't just a fun experiment. It paved the way for Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi. It took a risk, smashed genres together, and somehow made a turn-based RPG that feels like a true Mario adventure. If you've never played this one, go fix that and play it right now, because it's honestly one of my favorite SNES games ever. But now, let's move on to a game that I'm sure most of you have been waiting for. A game that didn't just continue the Mario legacy, it redefined what video games could be. A game that didn't just raise the bar, it set that bar. This wasn't just the next step in Mario's journey. This was a leap into a whole new generation. Super Mario RPG showed us how far Mario could stretch outside his usual box. It proved that he could thrive in different genres, take risks, tell stories.
This is the fake ad you see everywhere, right? But this is Ebony, a real game. Now I know what you're thinking, aren't they exactly the same? No, because Ebony is the real number gate runner game. Gotta try it, huh? Nobody ever believes me, but this really is just like the ads in real.
But with this next one, Nintendo wasn't content with shaking things up. They wanted to break the mold entirely. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Super Mario 64.
Oh,
This is Mario. He's 3D now. Suddenly, you weren't just going left to right anymore. You were moving in all the directions of a compass, and the analog stick was a revolution. With all that freedom came a new challenge. How do you keep track of Mario in a fully 3D world? The solution was a camera system unlike anything before, and Nintendo got clever. They turned the camera into a character, Lakitu, aka the cloud riding Koopa with a camera on a fishing pole. Listen, you gotta understand, by making the camera a visible in-game character, they gave players a way to understand this strange new perspective. It wasn't just a floating viewpoint. It was Lakitu following Mario around and helping him see all the action. It was a fun workaround for early 3D tech, and a subtle tutorial all in one. And that's why the game starts you off in such a low stress, exploratory zone. No guiding music, just birds chirping and a gentle waterfall. You've got a bridge to cross, trees to climb, and a lake to swim in. This was a space to simply play and get used to how Mario moves. It makes perfect sense when you realize Miyamoto and the team spent the majority of the dev time fine-tuning that movement, because the results were so smooth, so reactive. Backflips, wall kicks, sliding, crouch jumps, even the dive recovery into a jump combo. This Mario has it all, but it's not just the moves, it's the feel, the finest, that sense of flow. The whole game revolves around freedom. From the moment you walk into Peach's castle, you choose your direction, which levels, which stars, and in what order. And then there's those weird, unforgettable moments, like the toads hiding stars in random corners of the castle, trying to chase that goddamn yellow bunny rabbit. God, that took me a hot minute. Or that painting that isn't actually a painting, it's a wall. It's strange and it's playful. It's full of secrets and surprises that reward your curiosity. Every corner of Super Mario 64 feels like it was made by someone who wanted you to poke at it, to experiment, to break it just a little bit to see what happens. And let's not forget about the music. Koji Kondo didn't just make background tracks, he made pure memories. From the sunny bounce of Bob-omb's Battlefield to that terrifying music in Big Boo's Haunt. I never got to properly play this game as a kid, but the Inside the Castle track alone makes me feel so much nostalgia. The soundtrack captures moods of every space perfectly. It's not just catchy, it tells you how you feel. Super Mario 64 wasn't just a game, it was a blueprint. It showed the world how 3D games could work, how they could feel. It was bold, weird, and full of heart. And decades later, it still holds up. Because this wasn't just Mario in 3D, this was Mario redefined. And of course, you can't talk about Super Mario 64 without talking about Bowser. Not just once, not even twice, you fight him 3 times. Each time in this surreal floating arena that feels like a dream half remembered. Grabbing Bowser by the tail, spinning him around with the analog stick, and then launching him into bombs. It was like weirdly satisfying and a little janky, but it's all worth it when you hear Mario say, listen, I could probably talk about this game for another 5 minutes, but we'll leave it here, you know. Super Mario 64, it isn't flawless, but that's part of why it's so special. It was the first of its kind. Stumbling into brilliance was rewriting the rules of what a video game could be. It gave us freedom, it gave us mystery, it gave us Lakitu on a cloud, and possibly the most misheard line in gaming history. It's a game that invited you to play, to explore, to mess around, and somehow it still holds the magic after all of these years.
Yeah, that very scary Ian. Another iconic moment.
To Mario Kart.
Yeah!
Oh,
Listen,
yeah.
I tried thinking of a way to transition smoothly, but this turned out to be the best way. So let's jump straight into it. Mario Kart 64.
This is the second game in the series and the first to go 3D.
Kind of. The tracks were fully 3D, but the characters, they were still just 2D sprites. It's kind of weird to look at first. I mean, everybody just looks like a cardboard cutout, but once you get used to it, it blends pretty well. As for the characters themselves, you'll be happy to know that Donkey Kong Jr. has been replaced with the original Donkey Kong. And you know what's even funnier is that Donkey Kong actually only managed to just slip his way into this game as well. The game originally had Kamek in the roster instead of him. Clearly Nintendo had some vendetta against DK. But hey, let's talk about how fun this game actually is. I'ma be just fully transparent with you lot. I am not the best at this game whatsoever. I mean, I managed to hit myself with a red shell. I don't even know how that's possible. How did I do this? Nevertheless, it doesn't take away the fact that I still had so much fun. Some of these tracks are the most iconic in the series, man. Hitting this shortcut in Koopa Troopa, playing Banshee Boardwalk with friends was honestly diabolical, but it definitely wasn't as infuriating as Wario Stadium. It's all fine and fun until someone hits you mid-jump and you're sent back one whole lap. I mean, watch me do it to Yoshi right now.
Yeah, like I said, I'm low-key ass at this game.
But then there's Rainbow Road. It's not my favorite layout, I'll be dead ass. It's just 6 minutes of bullying. Like, look how many times I managed to knock Donkey Kong out. In the end though, we had this car 1-hour moment where all of us were about to finish, but luckily I let a mushroom rip and claim that first place. But yeah, this is the game that introduced 4-player multiplayer, which I'm sure caused so many fights back in the day, especially with the new items they added, like the blue shell. Yeah, this thing debuted here, and it's been a menace ever since.
Exhale, not your normal coffee break.
Excuse me! Why did no one tell me about my Experian credit score before buying a home?
Also, please don't rip into me for calling it the blue shell. I know it's actually called the spiny shell. However, I feel like the majority of you here would also call it the blue shell. I don't know why I felt the need to explain myself with that, but let's keep it moving.
Mario Kart 64 also included Battle Mode, which will forever hold a special place in my heart. These are some of the most fun game modes ever, man. Now overall, was the gameplay perfect? No. The drifting is super slippery, while at the same time it lets you perform the most disgusting play around certain corners. The rubber banding AI is brutal, but hey, at the end of the day, that stuff doesn't really matter because Mario 64 was about having as much fun as possible, even if it meant launching a controller at your mate's head.
Oh my god, you gotta be kidding me. And that is why I peak at Mario Kart Wii.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When an eel lunges out and he takes a bite of your snout, that's amore.
Yeah, this is Mario Teaches Typing 2. And just like the first game, this one is also hot garbage as well. Apart from the floating Mario head that talks to you.
I'm going to fly for you.
This is generational entertainment, and I can't believe Charles actually did the voice for this. I'm also willing to give bonus points for some of the animation they made here. You can really tell they tried to make it as interesting and funny as possible.
DS Super Mario Collection. This was basically Super Mario All-Stars streamed through the Satellaview in Japan. We have the same updated graphics, however now all we have are bare bone levels and this kind of weird ghostly vibe. The catch here is that you could only play it during specific broadcast times, and when that broadcast ended, so did your game. This one's just a super rare Japan only curiosity, tied to Nintendo's short-lived satellite service. Mario no Photopea. This is basically Mario meets a photo editor. You connect a special cartridge to a printer, then drag in pictures, decorate them with Mario stickers, and print them out. There's no platforming here, no power-ups, just Mario themed scrapbooking, and it's so bizarre, like who actually comes up with one of these games? Mario Party. Ha ha ha, so this is where it all begins, huh?
The very first Mario Party, it's fine. You pick a character, move around the board, and after every turn, boom, a mini game. Some of them are absolute classics. Some of them are straight up unfair, and a few made some people bleed. No, like seriously, those stick rotating games, Nintendo actually had to give out gloves because people were getting injured. But even when you're losing coins to Boo, or Bowser drops out of the sky and ruins your whole run, it's still really fun, because Mario Party isn't about winning. No, I lie, it's definitely about winning, but it's also about the chaos. The maps are simple but full of tricks, the music is catchy as hell, and the bonus stars at the end, well, let's be honest, they're completely rigged. But that is part of the Mario Party experience, buddy. Mario Golf.
Good shot!
That's so wonderful.
I'ma be real with you lot right now. I've never been the biggest Mario Golf fan, and probably never will. But out of all the ones I've played in this video, this one definitely stands out. The presentation is way better than the others. It's clean, colourful, and just the right amount of wacky. And honestly, it takes actual skill to play, way more than I expected. It's not just swing and pray, there is real depth here. Still, it's not really my thing, but I respect it. They also released one for the Game Boy Color. This one isn't just a mini version of the N64 game. On the Game Boy Color, you actually play as a rookie golfer, not Mario, and you'll work your way up through tournaments, leveling up your stats as you win matches. It's like an RPG disguised as a sports game, which is a super cool idea for a handheld game. I think them being able to pull this off is really impressive, and as a non-golf fan, I had an absolute blast with this one. Mario Party 2. The sequel that built upon the chaotic fun of the original and refined the formula into one of the best multiplayer experiences on the N64. I love how characters dress up resembling the board you play on. Apart from Bowser Land, nobody wanted to dress up for that. Mario Party 2 took all the good minigames from the first, as well as adding new ones like Lava Towel Owl and Shocker Dropper Roll. These two are some of my favorites in the entire series. Like every Mario Party we're gonna end up yapping about because, well, I kinda have to, don't I? These games are still full of unfair balance issues. However, this one does a really great job at pacing and planning strategy, because Mario Party 2 includes items and an item shop, which changes everything on the board and just causes more arguments and possible fights. Obviously, I don't condone this behavior. However, I do believe everybody has the right to tweak out every now and then if your star gets stolen from you and causes you to lose the game. That is a bunch of bollocks. This game, in my opinion, is easily one of the best entries in the series, which is kind of annoying considering we have to go through what feels like 100 more sequels that don't quite hit the same highs.
But hey, for now, let's move on to Mario Artist Paint Studio.
Honestly, not as complicated as Mario Paint. However, it is their oddly charming attempt at turning the N64 into a digital art platform.
There's animation, but that was already too complicated for me. There's this pretty cool 3D environment mode where you can paint onto textures and then walk around as this little explorer. I colored this Brontosaurus red and now he looks like he's bleeding out. So yeah, it's pretty fun. But I definitely spent most of my time in the 2D Paint Studio. And here's a time lapse of me drawing Yoshi this time.
Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. Even after all of these years, Super Mario Bros. Is still being re-released. This time on the Game Boy Color.
Whoa.
What's that?
I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
Guys, Nina just built an app.
Impossible.
Nina can't.
With some enhancements like the challenge modes, finding red coins, collecting a Yoshi egg, or just trying to beat your high score. You can unlock a mode which includes a limited number of levels from the lost levels. But other than that, it's basically just a port which I probably would have loved as a kid. I mean, I would have never seen anything like it before, probably because I wasn't born yet. But with that being said, we have reached the end of the 90s. This decade didn't just give us.
Well, let's leave it there for today. See you, everyone.